Hello and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I chat through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today's subject is all about OCD in WoW. Might sound a bit weird, I know, but once I get going, you'll kind of, or at least I hope, you'll pick up and understand what I'm going for with this sort of title. It won't be this title on the podcast name, I don't think. This is kind of a stand-in title for now. But let's get started. And the first thing I want to talk about is bag OCD. So this for me is a big personal one. I have set places that things need to be within my bag. My Hearthstone is one of them. My mounts are one of them. Mounts in Classic, because retail mounts obviously don't exist anymore in your bag. They're all in a certain tab. You've got crafting materials and extra gear in bags. These are sort of the four big parts for me. So with my Hearthstone, I have an add-on for my bags. So it's not the same as a normal like UI bag from World of Warcraft. So it's not their own individual bags, like own individual 5 bags. It's one big bag. It's called Bagnon, the add-on. So it's just one big bag with loads of different lines. But with that bag, it's always the first slot in my inventory on every character, besides when I get a mount. Just keep that in mind. But besides that, it is the first slot in my inventory. It will never move. It's always there, and it's always in the same location, in one or two locations, I will say, in that bag. So this, if you have a normal bag, like normal UI add-on for WoW, it would be your very first bag in the top left of that 16 slot bag that you get at the very start of the game when you log on and have your level 1 character. It will never move. Some people will have it in their like 5th bag, like the very last slot. Some people might have it in their 5th bag in the top left slot. I can't understand why, because that kind of drives me crazy, and it's just like, it's not meant to be sold. So why would you like move it into your 5th bag where junk will fill up, like from your first bag to your 5th bag, and then you're going through all of your bags, right clicking stuff. You accidentally right click your Hearthstone. It doesn't sell it, but it's just annoying because it's like, oh, I've done it again. Or like, oh, for God's sake, that's just wasted a couple seconds. I mean, it just infuriates me because I like to get stuff done like quickly within the game just to move on to the next thing. So it's like, yep, I've got all this to sell, sold, repaired, I'm off. Whereas it's like, okay, I've got to watch out for this in my bag. I've got to watch out for this in between all of the junk that I want to sell. And it just infuriates me sometimes. I can't understand it for the life of me. But then the Hearthstone can move places with mounts. So with my mount, in Classic, you need a space. You need to always keep it within your bag. So it's something that can be sold, I believe. It can be sold, and if you accidentally right-click, it's kind of bad. So what I do is I move the Hearthstone over one to the right, and I put my mount where my Hearthstone was, because that spot is a spot that I know I will never right-click to vendor. If that makes any sense, like that spot will not be a vendor spot. So I know that I'm safe with putting my mount there and I won't accidentally vendor it. Never done that in my entirety of like playing WoW, and I don't think I ever will. After about 10 plus years of playing WoW, never done it. Don't think it's possible for me to do it now. So you have certain mount spaces, you have certain Hearthstone spaces. These are kind of common ones. But then you've got stuff like crafting materials. So I've got my mount, my Hearthstone. I can lay out my entire bag for you right now. My mount, my Hearthstone, and then on that same line, I've got all reagents. So I'm a mage, so I have Rune of Teleportation, Rune of Portals, and Arcane Powder. Nice 3 simple reagents for mages. Then I've got a couple like Runecloth bandages, stuff like that. Then you've got all the like then there's sort of, you know, kind of purgatory space almost. It's like, this can be where junk sits, but I personally use it for water on this character because I create my own water and stuff. And to be honest, this is where water would sit on other characters. It's just I don't make as much water or have as much water on them characters as my mage because my mage can just make unlimited amounts. So, you know, it is what it is. But it will have that like sort of water and food section, mana gems and stuff. Then you get onto the junk. So the junk will be about 5 to 6 lines, and it will just be all the junk that I want to sell that I've like gone out whilst farming materials for like potions or herbing or mining. There'll be like the 6 lines of junk that I'm just going to sell and vendor when I get back and done with my grinding for the day. Now, in amongst all this junk, whilst I'm farming, I'm picking up materials. So with like greater nature protection potions, I need elemental earth. So I'm farming elemental earth, and there's a couple things that you can get from these elementals. The elemental earth itself for the pots, and solid stone. So I pick out them 2 items from all of the junk and move it down a few lines, like give it a couple lines from where I'm planning to stop with the junk, like collecting, and I will put them not reagents, them materials there, so that I know that this is the cut-off point for the junk. You drop down 2 lines, and then this is my materials that I've farmed and stuff like that. So you can keep an easy track of how much you farmed. Do you need any more? Do you need any less? Are you set for life with the materials that you've just gotten? Stuff like that. So you can even go a little bit further. Now, I have extra gear on most of my, or at least a couple 60s that I have on the game. So the extra gear on my mage is mainly PvP based. I've got my rocket helmet and my mind control cap from engineering. You have all of the trinkets that you switch out during PvP, stuff like Netomatic. You have the Argent Dawn like shield one. You have Oro's shield. You have Eye of the Beast, just in case all of your other trinkets are on cooldown. Nifty stopwatch. You got all of them little gadgets and stuff in the like back end of your bag, at the bottom end of your bag. Now, these also include gear, so there'll be a couple pieces of gear that I switch out when going into PvP, such as like a Battleguard Satura's like chest piece for the like decreased resistances against targets, stuff like that. There'll be just a couple pieces. There won't be much more than that because the gear that I'm currently wearing is very good for PvP for the most part. The only thing that I'll ever sort of switch out is the helmet, the like rocket helmet, the mind control cap, stuff like that. Now, there's very niche objects as well that you can have in your bags. So my niche object is with AQ40 you get the bug mounts. So that is in the very last like slot of my bags. That has never moved, that's never come out of my bag, that's never been in my bank, that's always been in that slot since I've gotten it. Never moved at all. So I know exactly where it is. I can drag it onto my action bar easily when I'm in AQ and I can just get on with it. It's very, I like everything to be known. Might not make sense to you that, but it does to me, and I just want to keep going. I want to do everything as fast as possible because WoW can eat up so much time. Like, you could be sat there, like, you just casually leveling, suddenly a few hours have gone by and you've gone up like 1, maybe 2 levels, and you're just like, where the hell has that time gone? So it can be so time consuming, but I want to get everything as like done as much done as possible in that time. I don't want to waste a second like not doing something in the game. So this can obviously be brought over to your bank. So your bank has loads more spaces. It can have it can be double your bag size, triple your bag size even. I'm pretty sure it might be triple your bag size, like depending on how much you have, like how many bank slots you have and stuff like that. But my bank is very organized. I have sections. I have the top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. Middle is just random. Now this is my layout for my mage. My druid is a different layout, and I'll get into sort of them and like the different layouts in a second right here. But my mage one, top left, so simple, random stuff. Just bits and pieces that I need. Like, it's not like just gear switches, random gear switches that might be very niche. Sorry about that. I'm not too sure what happened there. That should be on silent. But it's very, very niche objects that can come in handy, but have no real big value at the moment. So it's not like I'm bringing them out of the bank every day or every other day. It's very niche, and it's very sort of, yeah, I probably need that now. That type of thing. Top right, you've got the ZG section, Zul'Gurub section. These are your coins, these are your bijous, these are your tokens, these are your like random bits and pieces for Zul'Gurub, like the potions and the enchants and stuff. So ZG gives you 9 different coins, and it can give you about 5 or 6 different kinds of bijous. So it's quite a lot of bag space, but you break these down into tokens, and these tokens you use to buy either enchant or gain rep with Zandalar Tribe is the reputation name. So that's sort of a ZG section, just in case I need it for all of the characters, to get another enchant, to get another potion, stuff like that. Now, if you move on to the bottom left, the bottom left is a chunky part. So you've got about 4 different rows, I believe. You've got tier 1 at the very bottom left. You have tier 2 in the one above it. You have Zul'Gurub armor, and then you have all the random sort of PvP niche items again. This is what I had as a PvP sort of section, but PvP and PvE are kind of molding together with the gear now. There were some things that you could to like better gear yourself for PvP with like resistances and stuff. You still can, but it's become a bit more, I'm going to one-shot you with my class at least. So the PvP and PvE aspect are sort of molding together. This is where I also have my PvP gear, my like 6 set bonus for my PvP gear. So that's kind of the gear section, just sort of makes it look pretty. You know, you've got 8 pieces of tier 1, 8 pieces of tier 2. You've got your 5 pieces of Zul'Gurub gear. You've got your 6 pieces of PvP gear. Makes it nice and easy, makes it nice and easy to sort of, yeah, just drag it out. It's like, I need that. That's in this row. Nice and easy, got it. So in the bottom right, you've got all of your other stuff like consumables. Now, these consumables aren't my raid consumables. These are everyday consumables. Health potions, mana pots, swiftness potions. You've got noggin foggers in there. So very sort of useful ones, and can just keep replenishing quite easily, to be honest. Now, these are just if I need a potion out in the wild, if I'm going to go farm like satyrs in Diamond East, I might take a mana pot or 2, might take a health pot or 2, just to make sure that I don't die to them, stuff like that. It's just very nice and simple stuff. And then, yeah, that's pretty much my bank. But you move on to my druid, who's got a completely different like order and like layout in the bank. So my druid's a herb, like a herber. So about the first 5 lines, first entire 5 lines, you've got herbs, nothing but herbs, just herbs, herbs, more herbs, wherever you look on them 5 lines. It's obviously like all put together. So Dreamfoil is next to Dreamfoil, and it will be like 3 Dreamfoil stacks, and then it will be like 3 Plague Bloom stacks, 3 Ice Cap stacks, stuff like that. So it's not like a complete mess. It's like, oh god, do I have this herb? I need to find it. You'll see like a good like 2 to 3 stacks in there, and you can like visually identify it quickly and where it is within the bank. So you've got the first 5 rows there, and then you've got the bottom left is my tanking gear, the bottom middle is my healing gear, and the bottom right is my flag running gear. Now, the flag running gear I currently have on me, and it's something that I switch out with my Boom King gear, which I also have in my bag. They are in each of my bags or bank. So it's kind of, again, it's something that I just know off the top of my head. I don't need to put a lot of brain power or thought process into it. It's just, I know where that set is. I'm equipping it. I know what pieces are in that set, etc. Because it's like sectioned off almost. Like no set is like connected. There's always a gap in between. There's always a row in between each section, which makes it nice and sort of clean and easy to, like, more visually appealing almost. Now, again, these are very common ones, I would say, the bank and the bags, as many people have their own hearthstone spots, stuff like that, their own bank, especially a herb bank. I think everyone's got a herb bank pretty much. But this can go into sort of niche things, OCD, which is like the UI. So my UI, I don't like having anything in the middle of my screen. I PvP a lot, so I like to have the camera far out so that I can see everything that's happening. So I almost have this imaginary box around my character, and any add-ons or like weak auras and stuff aren't allowed to go over that imaginary box. And even though I know that there's a box and I haven't like measured this imaginary box, I know exactly where it is on my screen as I load up my character. So I know exactly where it is, and I know if something's gone over it and if something isn't quite in the right place and I want it there. It's like, even with UI stuff, I've got add-ons where I've got my threat meter is a little square box, and I've got my DPS meter, which is again a little square. Now, the threat meter is a tiny bit bigger, like a tiny bit wider, so I put the damage meter underneath it and slap bang in the middle. So it's sort of a big dad almost. It's a bit father figure for that DPS meter. So it can't move to the right and then the like edge of the DPS meter is hanging over the threat meter, because that would really mess with my OCD within WoW. Some people, they don't mind. They'll just throw it anywhere. They'll overlap the damn things, and it's a bit ridiculous. Even people in my guild, their UIs are so chock full of everything that it's impossible to almost see their character at some points. It's absolutely ludicrous. Now, some people have a tougher time because they might be playing on a laptop, and when they're usually used to PC, so it might be a smaller screen or whatever. This is like that's someone that happens in my guild. Like, they have to go someplace and they have to play on a laptop, and it's different from their PC, so they almost enlarge everything to make it easier on themselves. But people who have a scuffy UI, and scuffy in my opinion anyway, a absolute chock full UI, are primarily PvE players, I relate them to, because they just want to see everything to do with who's got what threat, who's done the most damage, who's done the most healing, who's done the most D-spells, who's currently about to rip aggro from the tank, who's got aggro on the boss. Everything needs to be sort of going through their mind. They need to know, okay, if I like want to see who's like high on threat, I need to look in this direction, in this place on the screen. If I want to see who's top DPS, I need to look in the opposite corner. So I can understand that process. I can understand why they have so many things like full on their screen. But to me, it's just, I need my screen kind of bare so that I can see everything when I do PvP. I do have add-ons, and weak auras, but they're quite small and sort of out of the way in corners and stuff. I know where they are in the corners, but they're not interfering with my character and or my action bar, anything like that. So some people just, I don't know, their UIs are crazy, and it actually pains me to think about it sometimes. The ones I've seen will haunt me forever. That's all I'm going to say. But you can even go into the character creation screen. Well, not the character creation, the character screen. So I myself put my characters in level order. It seems very simple, doesn't it? The higher the level, the more powerful you are. So as you're looking down the as you're looking down the characters, they're getting weaker and weaker in power. That's how I visualize it, and that's how I see it. Some people don't bother doing that. It's just, I've made this character here, and I've made this character now, that's where they're staying. Even if I make a character later and level that character more than this character, I'm not going to move it. And that infuriates me. That really messes with my OCD. Because on retail, you can have 50 characters on one realm now. I think that was about a year ago they changed that. But you can have 50 characters on one realm. And say you've got a level... Well, now it's a level 50 because of Shadowlands coming out and the pre-patch being out. So say you got like a level 50 at the top, which is fine. That's your main character. Yeah, go for it. But then you've got a level like 2 who you made as a bank character and just stores all your stuff on it. Now you might have a level 35 next after that level 2, and then you might have a level 48. You might have a level 1. You might have a level 5 there. It can just infuriate me. It's like, okay, I need to find this character. Where are they within this 50 character limit? Whereas if you want to find that character, you have a general idea of what level that character is. Or at least I have a general idea of what all of my characters' levels are. I don't need to be precise. I need to be somewhere within that, kind of bullseye area where it's like, they're around, level 30 to 40. So I've got to go halfway down and there's all my level 30s to 40s. Nice and easy, nice and simple. I don't get why people don't do that. But, it's something that doesn't bother them. Some people like to go with the route of, time played on characters, which I don't mind. I do understand that one, because if your mind works as yeah, I've played this character for the longest time, you'll know where it is. It's okay, that character's at the top because he's my most played. I know that my druid's got the most game time by far. So in that regard, I'd know that my druid is always at the top of that character select screen on retail. That is, not classic. But there can still be some anomalies, because generally the more time that you've played on a character, the higher level. But some anomalies can occur in that instance where you've played on a bank ult a lot more, because just putting auction stuffs up, banking some items away, you've got a level 2 bank ult that's got 2 days game time, whereas you've got 1 day game time on a level 15 character or something. So there, in that regard, there can be some anomalies, but that doesn't stress me out as much as people just throwing their characters willy-nilly and just having them scattered about everywhere. It really doesn't sit well with my mind. I don't quite understand that process. It's always got to be level order for me, and I can understand the time played, but throwing them anywhere is just, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. I would delete my WoW account, honestly, if that's how I treated it. Now, you can even go into more sort of depth with that. You can, as you're loading up WoW, you might have a set routine. So you load up WoW, you could think, okay, I'd like to do some battlegrounds, but you log on and first you have to check all the mail on every single one of your characters before you go into any battleground. Now, some people might just do that out of routine. It's okay, I've checked the mail, I've put up all my auctions, I've banked everything. Okay, I'm ready to go out, do my PvE, PvP, and they will just do the same sort of routine, kind of like a 9 till 5 job, morning, afternoon job, where it's okay, I'm going to get up at 8 o'clock, I'm going to leave at 8:30, get there for 9, stuff like that. But many things, there's a lot of things that you can do routinely within WoW. That is just an example with the getting logging in and checking all of your characters for their mail. I myself don't do that. That is one thing that I don't do. I don't log into every character, check mail, put up auctions. I'll just do it as I go on that character. It's okay, I want to do some battlegrounds. So I'll log on to my mage. I'll make my Actually, I've just come across that. So I do have a routine in a way. If I want to do battlegrounds, I'll log on to my mage. I'll make water and food. Get someone to mule it for me. Muling is where you trade the water and food to someone that you know. So you don't have to sort of mail it to yourself or whatever. And then they trade it as you switch characters. So I will make my water and food, get someone to mule it for me, log on to that character, and get it traded to me, my water and food, and then go into battleground. So I do have kind of a routine there with my mage. It's like, I've got to make this water and this food for my character to go in a battleground almost. So there's kind of niche and small ones there for me, personally. That, to be honest, I even just thought about that. Because you don't necessarily know that you're doing it. It's very subconscious. You're just sort of autopilot when you're doing these sort of things. The same things can be said when pathing through a city. Like with Ironforge, you've got a circle. Ironforge is just a big circle. So you walk into Ironforge, you're at the bank, and you've got two small paths that lead to the centre of this circle. You're looking straight, you've got the right path and the left path. And I always go for the right path. I've never gone for the left path in my entire life when playing WoW. It's always been that right path just because it feels more natural to me. Because I'm right-handed, I'm right-footed, it just feels natural to me. Whereas if you're left-footed and like left-handed or left-handed, right-footed, it might not make a difference to you. But you might choose the left path instead. But I think it's more practical to choose the right because I know that the Flight Master is on the right-hand side, like of the inner circle, and I know that the professions like blacksmithing and stuff like that, the anvils and stuff, are slap bang in the middle. So, like, it's the same distance from going on the left-hand side and the right-hand side to the middle, but the right-hand side is more practical because it's got the Flight Master. So it's sort of them subconscious thoughts that go through my head when I think, okay, which path am I going to take? It's a bit weird, and I'm not quite sure if you understood that, but it's very, I don't know how to explain it. You just do it. You just don't think about it. It's like, yep, I'm this way. Like, you don't even consider the other option. Well, I don't personally, not in this instance, not in any instance when going through Ironforge. It's always that same path for me. But even with stuff like herb farming and mining, herb farming is a bit different because I'm newer to it, but I know my path in Eastern Plaguelands for my herbs, and I know my path in Eastern Plaguelands for my mines. Because I spend a lot of time there, I know the exact path. I can even picture running that path through my head. I know exactly, like, tree location. I know where to, like, run around the little... I want to say it's a canyon, but it really isn't. Like the scar just outside Lights Hope Chapel. Like, I know the pathing around that. I know where certain minerals spawn. I know where certain herbs spawn. You just know all of these things subconsciously, but you don't realise it. Now, these things I do, these things like herbing and mining, I do when watching YouTube and just sort of turning my brain off, and I'm using about 5% of my brain to press WASD and move my character and look at my screen to see if there's a herb. And I'm using the other 95% to watch a YouTube video. So it's something that you just pick up subconsciously, but you don't necessarily realise. It's very OCD. I want to say it's OCD, but it isn't. Like, it's always the same set path, and you can't... It's very abnormal to go off of that set path sometimes. I've tried it before, but it doesn't quite feel right. It doesn't feel natural. It's like, well, there's no point in doing this because I have more luck going on this path that I know rather than running around like a headless chicken, like trying to find other minerals that might not even be here and that I've never seen in my entire life. So it's that kind of thought process. But it's a very weird thing, OCD within WoW. You don't realise that you have it, but there's always some niche things that you do have within the game that you will not necessarily realise at first, but if you think about it hard enough, you do have them. They are there, and when you are next on, try and do something that you wouldn't usually do. Try and go through that left path in Ironforge or something. Or try and like go a different route when farming herbs and minerals. Try moving and sorting out your bank, or like throwing it in a different sort of direction. Like, it might be a bit weird, but that would indicate to you that you do have an OCD in that sort of area of the game. It's a really weird concept because you just don't think about it in any case. You just get on with it and just accept it, like, subconsciously. But that about wraps it up today, guys. It's a bit of a weird concept and a bit of a weird idea, this one, OCD and WoW, but I do thank you all very much for listening. If you'd, I would like to take your time just for an extra minute just to talk about the Patreon for Pig and Whistle. Now, the podcast will always be there for you guys, free of charge every Friday, no doubt about it. Just saying, this one almost didn't go up on a Friday because of recording issues. This is my second time of recording because the file got a bit weird. Just saying, but it will be there every Friday. I will do my absolute best to make sure of that, no doubt about it. You'll always have access to it. I'm never going to stop that from happening. Absolutely never. But you can support the show in a lot more, and give me the chance to be able to community and grow with you guys. For just £5 a month, again, you can cancel any time that you wish. It's not a 12-month contract that I'm going to, have you sign. It would allow me to put out and do so much more with the podcast, and it would allow me to expand into new branches and new ideas of it. Now, it isn't just you're paying me and getting nothing back. You'd obviously keep getting the podcast, but along with that, you get a lot more benefits. You get an extra podcast a week. You would have certain Discord benefits if you were to join the Discord. You'd get many different benefits when, being a Patreon member and showing your love for the channel. All of the benefits will be listed if you were to look at the Patreon. But even if you don't worry about it, because you will always get this podcast every Friday. I would never take that away from you. It's something that I love doing, and I just hope that you guys love listening to the podcasts as well. But if you do want to check it out, it's at www.patreon.com/pig and whistle. It's pig, the word and then whistle. Patreon.com/pig and whistle. Thank you again for listening. It's very appreciated. And go with valor, friend. Goodbye all.